Welcome to KeepItReal Studios, the only channel on YouTube that keeps it real. Jake, the problem child Paul, who once internet famous kid turned pro boxer. Once he stepped into the boxing world, he took it over by storm, with knocking out fighters like the likes of Tyron Woodley, beating Anderson Silva, beating Nate Diaz, and beating fighters like Mike Tyson. Upon making his pro debut as a boxer, Jake Paul has fought unique opponents. Instead of facing boxers, he's been fighting fighters outside of his own realm. He's been fighting former world champions like Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva. With only a couple years in the game, Jake Paul has managed to have a boxing record of 11 wins and 1 loss, and 7 of his wins by knockout. Jake Paul has shown in the ring to have amazing cardio, good chin, and a deadly right hand. Jake Paul has shown countless times that he is not to be messed with almost all of his opponents touching the canvas every time they step foot in the ring. With all the successes a fighter has, people usually tend to forget the people behind the fighter, the team. Circling back to Jake Paul's personal life, he is a very entrepreneur kind of character. He has his own YouTube channel, he has his better, and he has all the kind of businesses. Jake Paul is a very wealthy man. And with that wealth, he has the ability to have the best camps, the best nutritionists, and the best coaches. And Jake Paul is probably sparring one of the greatest fighters and boxers that a lot of people don't even know about. Jake Paul is on a whole nother level. So now I just want to give my personal thoughts and opinions just on Jake Paul as a fighter, because I feel like sometimes people tend to mix up Jake Paul, who he is as a character and who he is as a fighter. It's no secret that a lot of people don't really love Jake Paul. A lot of people hate him. To be honest, I don't really fully understand him because I've never really met the guy. I don't know who he is behind the scenes, so I can never really have a full opinion on him. I can only have an opinion of how he portrays himself. I just see him portray a character. He calls himself the problem child. I feel like he kind of plays into his gimmick, like he purposely does it. A lot of fighters, they have this fake persona to them to kind of entice the crowd, and I feel like it works every time. So I do kind of understand maybe why he gets hate on that part. But just circling back to how Jake Paul is as a fighter, I generally believe that Jake Paul is a good fighter because Jake Paul, wealthy and successful person. So with that kind of success, he has the money to actually pay for a good camp, good training, good coaches. And if you actually look into Jake Paul as a fighter, you can definitely see he has passion. If you see his first boxing matches and you see how he is now, you can definitely see the progression. Look at every fight that he's had. You can definitely see his fundamentals. I feel like in every fight that he has, he's had moments where he's shown cardio, he's shown heart, and he's just shown movement and fundamentals, and he's just shown crazy power. I feel like Jake Paul is a very talented and a very good boxer. I feel like people just need to separate who he is as a character and who he is as a fighter, because they're two different people. Because I believe Jake Paul is probably one of the best boxers currently, lower level boxing scene. I do kind of agree with the criticism that he gets based on his opponents. He doesn't get the best opponents, and I do agree with that. I still feel like he's had strong opponents because, a lot of them still come from fighting backgrounds. So fighting is just in their DNA. They still know how to fight, and it still takes a lot of strength and energy and conditioning to knock out somebody. And a lot of people don't realize how hard boxing is. Boxing is a crazy sport, and it's very hard to do.
I am a very spiritual person, and I believe that every individual on this planet has a sacred responsibility, and uncovering what that is for yourself is a big part of one's journey. And earlier this year in a spiritual ceremony, I saw clearer than ever what my sacred responsibility was. And that's to become world champion. This is what I was destined to do. With doing that, the rest of the goals that I have will fall into place. I want to continue to elevate women's boxing, advocate for fighter pay, and I'm proud to say this year my foundation, Boxing Bullies, launched 5 gyms across the United States, and we are continuing to expand as we get boxing gloves into the hands of as many kids as possible, teaching them discipline, routine, hard work, and giving them more confidence, which is what boxing did for me.
I think Jake Paul is a very good boxer, and I think he's so dangerous because his potential is very limitless. I feel like he can grow as a boxer. I just feel like it just depends on the mindset. And one of the best things that I see around Jake Paul, I feel like he has a very good team and good energy around him. I'm not really there, but from what I see, you can definitely see this passion and this motivation behind his team, you know? And I feel like they're always willing to learn and grow. But overall, I still think Jake Paul is a very solid boxer. I'm not saying he's like the greatest. I'm not saying he's the GOAT. But I do believe there's a lot of potential to get there. So I'm very excited to see what Jake Paul has in store for all of us in the future. Tell me how you feel about Jake Paul down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to keep it real.